Hi everyone. On the global stage, the US speaks the language of friendship. But its actions expose not friendship, but hypocrisy and self-interest. USA demands that India stop buying Russian oil, accusing India of funding Russia's war. But here's the catch. This is the same America that has repeatedly hurt Indian economic interests, first through unfair tariffs under President Trump, and now by dictating who India should or should not trade with. The irony here is hard to miss. A so-called strategic partner that imposes trade barriers on Indian exporters, damages lakhs of jobs back home, and then lectures India on energy security. Is that real friendship? Or is it pressure politics dressed as diplomacy? India must ask. If America truly wants India as a trusted ally, should it not respect India's economic compulsions instead of making demands that could destabilize our growth? Prime Minister Modi recently tweeted, thanking President Putin for Russia's consistent support and friendship. In the same message, he highlighted the upcoming Alaska summit, signaling India's intent to carry this partnership forward on the global stage. When Donald Trump came to power, many in India believed he would strengthen ties with New Delhi. But what actually happened? Instead of building trust, Trump imposed unfair tariffs on Indian goods, costing thousands of jobs and hurting our exporters. His short-sighted policies didn't just damage India's economy, they weakened the friendship itself. American economists even warned that such reckless moves could push India closer to China, undermining Washington's own strategic interests. Today, those economists still criticize Trump's tariffs as a historic blunder that created unnecessary distance between India and the United States. Let's unpack how US policies from Trump's tariff wars to current oil demands have actually weakened India and US ties, and what it means for our foreign policy moving forward. India today stands at a true geopolitical crossroads. On one hand, it shares deep historic ties with Russia, especially in defense and energy. On the other, its growing partnership with the United States is crucial for technology, trade, and balancing China's rising influence. This delicate balancing act defines India's strategic position. It cannot afford to fully abandon either side without risking its own security and economy. Globally, India's choices matter even more. A pivot toward Washington could tilt the balance in favor of democratic alliances, while continued engagement with Moscow offers stability for its own development. In short, every step New Delhi takes now reshapes not just its national interest, but also the power dynamics of the 21st century world. The strain in India-US relations is rooted in multiple layers. First, trade tensions, with tariffs and restrictive policies, especially during the Trump era, hurting Indian exports and creating economic pain. Second, a negative media narrative in major US outlets like CNN and Washington Post, often framing India's policies in a critical light, has only deepened mistrust. Third, a trust deficit lingers. Years of inconsistent policies have left India cautious about how reliable Washington truly is as a long-term partner. Yet, despite these challenges, both nations recognize their strategic importance to each other. That's why many analysts are calling for renewed efforts to rebuild trust, align economic interests, and elevate this partnership to the level it deserves in today's volatile world. The oil imports controversy has become a flashpoint in US-India relations. Washington accuses New Delhi of funding Russia's war by buying discounted crude, while India sees it as an economic necessity to keep prices stable and growth intact. This raises larger questions of geopolitical alignment. Is India leaning toward Moscow or simply safeguarding its national interest? In reality, New Delhi is walking a fine line, balancing its economic needs with the diplomatic pressure from the West, while making sure its strategic autonomy remains intact. India's decision to continue oil imports from Russia is driven by hard economic realities. As the world's third-largest importer of crude oil, India spent over $130 billion on energy in 2023-24, making affordable supplies a matter of survival, not choice. Russian crude, discounted due to sanctions, helps contain inflation, protect foreign reserves, and support millions of livelihoods tied to energy prices. This is economic pragmatism, not alignment with Moscow. Amid global market volatility, New Delhi's energy strategy is simple. Diversify suppliers, secure affordable deals, and ensure energy security for a rapidly growing population and economy. India's trade with Russia is shaped by strategic considerations, not just economics. By purchasing oil in rupees instead of dollars, New Delhi circumvents Western sanctions while keeping energy costs manageable. These transactions also reinforce bilateral economic ties, giving India leverage in defense, energy, and technology cooperation. Most importantly, they preserve India's strategic autonomy, ensuring that New Delhi is not beholden to any single bloc, but can balance between powers while securing its own national interests. For India, affordable oil is directly tied to economic and social stability. Any disruption or shortage would spike fuel prices, driving inflation, hurting industries, and burdening millions of households. As the economy heavily depends on imported crude, instability in supply quickly translates into job losses and slower growth. While alternatives like renewable energy and imports from the Middle East are being developed, they cannot yet replace the scale of India's needs. This makes energy security not just an economic issue, but a social necessity for stability and growth. India today is walking a diplomatic tightrope. Through high-level dialogues with the US, Russia, and other powers, New Delhi seeks to navigate conflicts like Ukraine without taking sides. The goal is clear: protect strategic sovereignty while expanding India's global role. By balancing relationships with rival blocs, India positions itself not as a follower, but as an independent power shaping multipolar world politics. Prime Minister Modi's recent outreach to President Putin is more than just a diplomatic courtesy. It is a calculated signal to the world. By thanking Russia for its support, Modi emphasizes India's steady and consistent approach in foreign policy, valuing old partnerships while keeping channels open with emerging ones. This is not about choosing sides but about showing resilience in diplomacy, where India prioritizes its sovereignty over external pressures. The message to the global community is clear: India will engage with all major powers, act in its own national interest, and play the role of a stabilizing force in a fractured international system. In doing so, Modi projects India as a confident nation that cannot be swayed, but one that seeks balance and influence in global affairs. The case for cementing true friendship with the United States lies in recalibrating ties beyond past grievances. Tariff disputes, trust deficits, and uneven policies must give way to renewed cooperation. Both nations share democratic values and face common challenges, from countering China's rise to securing supply chains and advancing technology. By addressing old frictions and aligning strategically, India and the US can unlock vast opportunities in trade, defense, climate action, and global security, turning this partnership into one of the strongest pillars of the 21st century order. The way forward for India lies in a careful strategic realignment. By committing more deeply to democratic alliances, New Delhi can strengthen ties with like-minded nations in trade, defense, and technology. At the same time, positioning itself as a trusted global actor means showing consistency, reliability, and leadership in resolving conflicts. This path secures India's long-term interests, enhances its global influence, and ensures it is seen not just as a regional power, but as a central player in shaping the future world order. So, what do you think? Should India prioritize securing cheaper oil from Russia to protect its economy, or should it realign more strongly with the United States to strengthen democratic alliances? Share your views in the comments below. And if you found this analysis useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who follow global geopolitics.